many years will a debt stay in your file before it gets, they say, deleted, expunged? Does it resurface like a ghost in the future, come back to haunt you? And it will affect your purchasing power or when you want to borrow for a house or a loan.
Yeah, that's a good question. You actually covered a few angles there. So the first is, so the rule on your credit report is if you have a debt and 6 years of inactivity, it's an important word, inactivity, goes by, yeah, that debt will fall off the credit report. Now, you'll notice I touched on inactivity. The reason I said that is the common assumption is, well, if 6 years goes by, it just falls off. No, it's 6 years of inactivity. Inactivity means if you go on a credit report, if you look at your own credit report, you'll see something that says last reported or last activity. Last reported in this case is what matters most. If you have a bad debt, that creditor every month can just keep reporting, yeah, this guy sucks, he owes me. This guy sucks, he owes me. And if he keeps updating that, it's year zero. Even if 6 years have gone by, if the last day of reporting was, well, what's today, January 15th, 2025. If the last date of reporting was December 15th, 2025, you're up to date. So it hasn't been 6 years. That's the first thing. If 6 years does go by of inactivity, first of all, you should know with 1 month left, they can reactivate it. So, but let's say it does actually drop off. Okay, 6 years have gone by, no activity, and it just goes away. Can it come back? You brought up. The funny thing is, I've seen it happen. Yeah, what sometimes happens is the original creditor probably won't do anything because at that point it's gone to collections. But when something goes to collections, it tends to bounce around. One day it's with FDR, the next day it's with Total Credit Recovery, the next day it's with Gatestone, then Partners in Credit, whoever it is. Those guys will sometimes put it right back on. Now, there's arguments over whether they can do that. It's right. Okay, but the fact is they did it. Whether or not they're right, you have to fight it now. And I can guarantee the reaction from Equifax and TransUnion is going to be, what? Huh? They don't care. So they can do that. We've also seen instances where a creditor, I call it phishing, they just kind of pick up these old debts that have gone nowhere and they start making phone calls. And the idea is, hey, if we call 100 people, 1,000 people and threaten them, maybe some of them will bite, right? And if you make an offer, or sometimes, what was the example? You know what? We just need $25 to clear this off. Is that you just reactivate it? And they can put it back on. Yeah, I haven't seen that for a long time, but I remember I couldn't believe it. It was early in my career. I'm like, can they do that? Yeah, you can. Or at least they got away with it. So, when something dies, it's possible it can come back. The challenge you have is, see, when something is that old and it's still on the report and it's gone to collections or it's just saying written off, it's what's known as a 9 rating. A 9 rating is an active rating, meaning every month it's saying, hey, you suck. And I'm going to tell the whole world you suck. It's hitting you. It's bringing you down. So it's kind of like swimming against the tide. You can do a bunch of positive things like getting a card, using it responsibly, keeping no balance or a low balance, paying off loans. You can do all the right stuff, but these guys are kind of slowing you down. And if you want to get major loans like a mortgage, they're going to say, hey, what's this? You need to address this. And I've seen people held up for old phone bills to Bell or something for $500. So it's a good idea to clean those things up for sure. If you're close to the end, I'll say to people, look, you can wait. It might just drop off, but there's a chance. Usually doesn't come back. Sometimes you do get off scot-free. But people have had speeding tickets disappear. I know a guy, who had a speeding ticket and it just vanished. We can only assume it was some bureaucratic. So you'll hear people, I had a credit card, I owed $8,000, it just disappeared. That's the secret, You want to try? $500 Rogers bill might disappear. $2,000 overdraft might disappear. You owe someone 20 grand. They might forget about you, but maybe not.
So the key is, you don't want that resurfacing just when you have your life in order and you're ready to move forward with your finances, right? And do not buy if you don't have the money. Am I correct?
Yeah, for sure. Well, definitely. To the first point, I would say even if something's that old, instead of paying for it, settle it. Meaning you're paying it, but don't pay full pop. Nickel's worth of free advice to anyone listening to this. If you owe $2,000 or something, and it's reporting negatively, and it's derogatory, and it's in collections, call them up and say, look, I'll give you $400 or something. They won't take it, but they will come down. Now they'll try to convince you, if you pay the full 2,000, it'll look much better on your record. No, they've already done the damage. You may as well get a deal, even if it's $100. Pay $1,900. But yeah, try to settle it, because then once you settle, it'll go to a 7 rating, and the 7 is not an active rating. It's just sitting there. So it's no longer hitting you and saying you suck. It's saying we're done. Oh, he paid you? No, he paid me enough. He paid me enough, and we're done. And that will drop off in 3 years, but it doesn't hurt you for 3 years. It just sits there. Okay, it's like a scab. So I can see it's there. I can see your scab. I can see your scar, so to speak, but it has less impact than the 9, considerably. As for, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. It's good advice. Simple to say, not always easy for people to follow, but yeah.